Men have been separated from their emotions for so long, and even how they're raised, don't cry, you man up, and things of that nature. And men are not encouraged to sit with their emotions.
What's your carnal theory?
For all those who are listening, I do not want them to feel like I don't have a menstrual cycle. I do not have a menstrual cycle because I don't bleed. It's not true, because I absolutely think men have a menstrual cycle because they're some of the most emotional creatures on the earth in conjunction with women. So I absolutely believe men have menstrual cycles. It may not be a menstrual cycle because there is no bleeding going on, but they go through phases. So maybe that's how we reframe it, right? Maybe it's not necessarily a menstrual cycle because that's associated with bleeding, but we all go through emotional phases that can mimic and resemble a menstrual cycle. So if you have that, you can still use these same tools to honor that phase in your life. So maybe not calling it a menstrual cycle, since that again is associated with bleeding, but there's an emotional phase that you go through where you need to refresh, you need to reset, you need to rejuvenate, you need to come back to your body. So I don't want anyone who's listening to feel separate from this same process because they don't physically bleed, but you do go through a phase. You do go through a cycle. It may not be a menstrual cycle per se, but you experience that.
And I wonder if part of context Sisman's disassociation and putting negative connotations around menstrual cycles comes at all from the part that their own cycles are not being recognized.
And I think that kind of toes along the line of toxic masculinity, which is probably an overused phrase at this point. But it does toe along the line with that because men have been separated from their emotions for so long, and even how they're raised, don't cry, you man up, and things of that nature. And men are not encouraged to sit with their emotions, to learn how to manage their own energy. So I was talking to the guy that I'm seeing currently. He was talking to me about, I get in these moods. So they may not call it a cycle, but they'll call it a mood. So it's like, okay, you're in this mood, so what's going on? And how some men, not all, but how some men tend to address these moods are through different type of coping mechanisms that aren't unhealthy coping mechanisms. They'll turn to alcohol, they'll game all day, or, they'll indulge in some other type of activity. Some men indulge in sex, which sex is not a bad thing because sex is healing, but your intent behind how you do it is how it becomes an unhealthy coping mechanism. So, talking to men about when you get into this mood, so what do you do? And even the guy that I'm dating currently, I said to him, I know you find drinking as a coping mechanism, but maybe you need to go exercise, because emotions are nothing but it's energy and motion, right? Is another form of energy that we have control over. And I think because we are not taught how to better wield our feelings and emotions, they become erratic spaces for us when they get too heavy and when we get overwhelmed, and we direct them unknowingly. We direct them in ways that aren't beneficial to us. So for any men who may listen to this podcast, how to handle your quote unquote mood or your phase is to really sit with your emotions and channel them in a different way. It doesn't necessarily have to be alcohol. It could be exercise. It can be building something. A lot of men like to work with their hands. Go build some shit. Go paint some shit. Go outside and be one with nature. Go swim. Like, there's so many other ways that you can redirect that energy in a more active way, because men like to be active. I respect that. I understand how masculine energy works. Masculine energy likes to be active. So being in a passive space for those who are hypermasculine or operate heavily in their masculinity, that's unknown to them. But what you do is you take that passive energy and you transmute it into something that is active for you, where you're able to think clearly, but you're directing your focus into something that allows you to use your hands, that allows you to use your limbs, use your body, and focus. So that's a way for men to honor their cycle or their moods, whatever that means to them, is to transform that energy into an active space that allows you to meditate, because meditation is nothing but allowing your mind to be quiet. So you don't have to sit in lotus pose and chant and and Om and those things, that's one form of meditation. One way that I meditate in the morning is I wash dishes. A lot of people don't like washing dishes, or a lot of people have dishwashers, but I wash dishes because it's a quiet space. My hands are in water. Here we go. Water, blood, liquid, all of that intuitive space. My hands are in water, and I'm concentrating on cleaning my dishes. So because I am concentrating on cleaning my dishes, I'm not thinking about anything else. And then that's when I can receive messages, whatever those messages look like for me. So doing something that allows you to quiet your mind so you can focus and allow yourself to receive and be open is a way to honor that mood, that phase, or that cycle that you're in. And that can be something good for men who have challenges dealing with their emotions or managing their emotions. You take that passive space and you transmute it into something active that you can utilize so that you can win.